Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Darkest Timeline podcast. So it's just the usual games, movies, TV, something from the week, and I'm sure I'll be moaning about something, probably. If you're checking us out on YouTube, big thank you. If you're listening to us on SoundCloud or iTunes, also a big thank you. If you are checking us out, then do subscribe, like, share, comment, and it really helps us. And that's good. It's good. You can jump over to thecookiecast.com, check us out over there, and drop us a line, email, or just tag us on social media. Whatever works for you, works for us. So here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline podcast. There you go, that's the way to start. Old man noises. I am in pain. We will get to that shortly. Yeah, it's one of those kind of days. But something that will make it ever so slightly better. You see, a lot of these non-alcoholic beers do in fact get it right. That one, it's supposed to be grapefruit, which I know is a bit of a kick in the old, I don't know, wherever you want kicking, whether you beer. But I think it's just like punching you in the mouth and not really caring whether the result's right. Don't know. Obviously, I'll be enjoying that over the next 40 or so minutes. Who am I kidding? 20 minutes. How you doing? How's your week? Good. I went back to work today, having had another week off. Funny old week. I have a feeling that I'd seem to say that, I don't know, more often than not. I don't know. Oh, here come the odds. Yeah, funny old week. Took the girls, all of the girls out from various trips out, which had varying different results. One of those trips went to Tropical World over in Leeds. Tropical World is a place I've been going to for years, on and off, which probably says a lot. Largely, a lot of that is to do with it's very reasonably priced, fairly easy to get to. Admittedly, a lot of the times that I was going to Tropical World, I wasn't responsible in any way, shape or form for getting there. This is, in fact, the only time that I've had to be in charge of getting there. Which we did quite nicely, quite easily. Something I find interesting is that the car park at Roundhay Park is free, from all that I could tell, and obviously that has its own issues, but free is free. Got parked easily, comfortably, job done. So that was that. Went over. It's that thing. It's reached that point now where if you're out and you're wearing a mask, you are very much in the minority, I'm afraid. In certain situations, admittedly, in the queue, we were outside So I didn't enforce any masks on anyone, but I did enforce the social distancing. The outside queuing area was very clearly marked for social distancing, and we stuck to it the best we could. So yeah, we went in. It took a long time to get in. I have this thing that in this strange new world that we live in, the whole way of doing things is either done really well or could be done 10 times better. And unfortunately, Tropical World did fall into the could have easily been done better, purely by putting a second person on to get people in. Or doing if you pre-booked tickets, go down one way. If you're buying tickets, go down another way. Simple. Obviously, because of this, you've got a bit of a bottleneck at the start. And then, this is kind of where your social distancing goes out the window, which is a difficulty I've found when you've now got that situation where the majority of people, or I'm not saying the majority, a lot of the people indoors are not wearing masks. Does make me a little twitchy. But, So, we went, obviously you start with butterflies and fish and plants. It's very warm, tropical world. And then you go and there's more fish and insects and snakes, lizards, iguanas, stuff like that. The upside is it's a very enjoyable place to go. There's a lot of cool things to see, a lot of creatures and animals and birds and things. The youngest spotted a parrot type bird in the tree that nobody else had seen. She was a little scared of it, but she was just like, ugh. A downside was, I don't know if this is virus related or if this is that they've taken an opportunity to do any kind of work or anything, I don't know, but quite a lot of it was closed or apparently under maintenance. The biggest one for me was the bat enclosure. No bats. But let's face it, if you go into Tropical World, you want to see the meerkats. So we did indeed get to see the meerkats. And then, that's the highlight of the visit. But we were out of there in the time it took to get in there. So we queued for 40 minutes and it took us 40 minutes to get through the place. Obviously, it's difficult at this time. But on the flip side, we'd travelled, we'd paid, that sort of deal. Went back, walked back. Oh, and we had some lunch, enjoyed some lunch outside, walked back, jumped in the car and drove home. There'd been insane levels of traffic on the other side, and having had some of the girls in the car being in a traffic jam, I was very concerned about it. I was limiting everybody's drinks before getting in the car and stuff, and nothing, just flew back. So, little bit okay, a little bit, but it was a day out. We had a paddling pool day. very much one of those situations where I was like, should have. It's just one of those. You know, you always think I should have planned this better after the fact. But yeah, I was still blowing up the paddling pool at 11 o'clock or something. And then, you know, you're getting the water in and you're getting the hot water in and you're getting more water in and hot water in and all this. But it wasn't like a scorching hot day. It was okay temperature wise. So by the time you've got the paddling pool filled and the hot water and all this, that and the other, everybody's cold and they want to come inside. Them's the breaks, unfortunately. What was the other day we took the cats to the vets? Possibly, because then there was more time in the paddling pool at the afternoon, but the exact same situation. By the time you've got everybody changed and in the pool and all of that, everybody's ready to get out. I remember, you know, as a child, living in a paddling pool at one point, just being like, you're never getting me out of here. It was 85% grass. We even set up a little foot wash with a smaller paddling pool to try and avoid the grass situation, which I think worked quite well. The youngest was having a whale of a time. We had a trip to the mini golf place. Well, no, I think it's that thing. I think we like it there. They've got the arcades, they've got the mini golf, but we have been a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, quite close together. So I'm thinking we might give it a rest, going there for a little while maybe. But we had a couple of games. Discovered that my middle daughter, I got her all, you know, set up like, hold the club like this. You're holding it like, I can't, you know, one hand's going down, one hand's going up, which didn't make for ease of swing. So I got her hands lined up, got her squared up against the ball, and it turns out actually quite good at golf. So immediately my mind goes to, maybe she's like, you know, a golf protege. Do I need to buy some clubs? What about some lessons? How do we capitalise on this? So we did the golf. We had 2 games of golf. It was good. Played some arcade games, won some tickets, converted those tickets into toys and the like. And that was that. So we had this week, we had this time. Very, very much an up and down sort of thing. Most of it was good. Yeah, the second week is always that bit easier in a lot of ways because we're a bit more in the swing of things. You kind of know what to expect. All of that sort of stuff. But I've recently realised. So going back a couple of years. I would always spend the last day, the morning of the last day, would always go like this. Everybody gets up. Leanne takes all of the girls downstairs. I have like 5, sometimes 10 minutes, sat on the edge of the bed, just crying. And then it's very much a, pull yourself together situation, get stuck in, to try and make the most of the last day. And that was kind of that. And then I would spend the evening upset, moping, whatever. It'd probably take me a day or so to come out of it. And that would be that. But recently, this year, summer holidays this year, what I've ended up with is just this like, just really angry. Just that, and right, where previously I would have had like 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes of, proper just sadness, that's been converted into like, well, I think like Friday there was like an hour and a half where I was just like, fuck you and fuck this and fuck off and fuck everything and everything go fuck itself. And just like insane levels of anger at the situation, at the whole thing. And I think that ties in a lot to how I've been feeling recently and how I've been, I was going to say dealing with things, but, more like struggling with things. And then I reach a point where I'm like, this is not the answer. This is not the right way to do it. This is not the right way to go about it. This is not how we enjoy the last day. And it was golf. We went and played golf, and we were kind of running late. And this is an example of how just life, I guess. There are two ways you can go. I would always go one of the ways. I'd always go one way. And this time I had the forethought to think, hang on a minute, the weather's okay today, and that way is the same way to go to Scarborough and the coast. We are going to get stuck in traffic of all the people that are trying to get down that one road. So I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to go the other way. The other way, it'd be a lot easier to just, duck and weave through the other way and get there with plenty of time. So what happened? Any guesses? Anybody? Bueller? Yeah, of course we got stuck in traffic. Couldn't write it better. So because of the way I am with being like my attempts to be as punctual as possible, be early where possible, then you don't have to worry, so on and so forth, the closer we get to the time we're supposed to be there, the more I'm like, and I'm already in this mood, and I'm like, fuck. All of this is in my head. Outwardly, I'm just sitting in traffic. We pull into the car park, and I'm literally like, we have got 1 minute to get over the road, up the stairs, and, check in, essentially. Obviously, once we got there was a queue, and by the time we got through the queue, they were just like, yeah, whatever, here's some clubs and some balls, get cracking. But it took me to get through that first hole, that first, getting my middle daughter into a position where she could actually, hit the ball. And then it was that, you're actually quite good at it. We've played before, but turns out she's got some kind of golf ability from somewhere. There was a few holes where she was like, I had 2 on that hole. I had 4, and I've played, golf before, so it was, and I used that to bring myself out of the mood I was in, to bring myself out, the attempt to enjoy the time. But it has been one of those things recently where I'm like, where is this where is this anger coming from? But I think that's kind of obvious where the anger's coming from. Previously I would have just sat and cried, but There you go. So I hurt my back. Oh, it's a bad one. And what's nice is I hurt it in exactly the same way I hurt it last time. Point being there, you'd think I would have learned, but no. I'm at the end of a workout. I had 2 sets left. And all I can think is, I've got to get through these last 2 sets and then I don't have to do anything. There's no running, there's no working out, there's no nothing for, it was like 36 hours, more even. So I'm like, yes, let's get this done. The last 2 reps of the second to last set, I feel a twinge in my back. My mind immediately goes to, oh, it's like that time that I hurt my back. In exactly the same way. I was doing a very similar exercise. I was in the gym. I had 2 sets left. I had a twinge on the second to last one, and I completed the final set and absolutely destroyed my back. Was in agony. So that was the first place my mind went to. And then the stubborn part of me, the stubborn part of my brain kicked in and said, go on, knock this last set out and we can be done. And that's what I did. And the twinge that I imagine would have stayed just a little twinge, a bit of a niggle maybe, a bit like a ooh, that's a touch sore, went from being a twinge to, what is this pain? Why do my arms and my legs hurt? Why am I struggling to breathe? Why does my stomach hurt? Why do I feel like I need the toilet? Oh yeah, and oh that's right, why can't I move? Like right now, my left foot hurts. And I know that it's from this back pain. So it was that bad, I had to break my no painkiller rule. I think I've had like 4 sets of painkillers in the last couple of days. Just paracetamol that, as far as I can tell, largely did almost nothing. And I'm just like, why? Why couldn't you just let that last set go? But then there's a part of me that knows that that would never happen. Admittedly, in future, probably will happen. Here's the thing though, I would be more annoyed if I hadn't been wearing a weight belt, because I've been religious about wearing that belt for any possible thing that could do any kind of back damage since the last time I injured it. But yeah, just it's very painful. It stops me from sleeping, stuff like that. So that's Saturday. Now Saturday is the last workout of the week. Sunday is a complete rest day. Woo-hoo. Today's Monday. Monday is first run of the week, first workout of the week. Today was supposed to be the first workout of a new phase. I say supposed to be because obviously I was in no fit state to run, and certainly no fit state to work out. My personal trainer also known as my brother-in-law, has told me that I need to take a week off. So no running and no working out for a week. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I'll just get through this, a couple of days, I'll be fine. The thought of not running and not working out for a week, I was climbing the walls in my head. And it's weird to think how reliant on those things I've become. There's a time in my life where I would have never imagined something like that. Maybe not so much the working out. I could probably have always seen myself being like, Obviously, in my later years, the gym or working out has become a lot more important to me. But I've been working out on and off since I was 14, 15. All the way through to now. It's the running. The running's the one where I'm like, no running. That's going to be a tough one. And then I'm like, who are you? It's a very strange concept for me. But yes, I will admit I am not coping overly well. I've already switched to trying to convince myself that it's not actually that bad. I'm already in the morning I'll get up and go for a walk. Because I've still been able to walk the dog. So I'll be like, I'll get up and go for a walk. I should still be getting out there. And maybe I can just do some sat down, curls. Real upper body stuff, nowhere near the back area. I could do that. That'd be good. It's just weird. It's a weird concept for me. I've been playing a few mobile games recently. I've been playing one religiously for a long time. It's like a Marvel game. You collect Marvel characters. You make them fight other teams, I guess. I think it's called Marvel Strike Force or something. Pretty religiously play that basically every day. Outside of that, I don't bother with anything. I had a game recently that I was playing that I was quite kind of into. It was very much you went on it, you did a few things, and then you just kind of had to leave it for the rest of the day and go back later in the day or the next day or something. But I reached a point where I was like, oh, you've completed this area. Go to the next area. It's like, okay. Oh, you need 10 stars to go to the next area, and you've only got 9. So here we go. Now you're going to try and sell me something. Nope. That, as far as I can see, that is the end of that game. It's very strange. But more recently, I've been having a bit of a mooch around, trying to find other games. I got this one that was like you have to match numbers. It was okay, but we'll get to. I've gone back to a game that I used to play years ago. Cody Cross. It's kind of like a crosswordy type game, but not. I think it's very popular, so I might be explaining it, and people will be like, "We know." I got one today. I got a game today, and I'm like, "Ooh, oh dear, this is a little addictive. This one." So yeah, I might have to watch myself on that one. Very much a brain teaser kind of situation. But I've had this realisation, and the realisation is this. And this is going to be very much a situation where people are going to be like, well, duh. But mobile games are just devices for adverts. It's like, hey, you pressed a button, here, watch an advert. Oh, do you want something for free? Here, watch an advert. You turned the game on, have an advert. It's like one of the games I was playing, it was like, oh, do you want some stuff for free? It's like, yeah, okay, watch this advert then. Right, fine, if you're going to give me something for free, I'll watch the advert. Obviously, I'm not watching it. Okay, here's some stuff for free. It's like, okay. Got to the point where I was so sick and tired of the adverts. When it was like, hey, do you want something for free? I was like, no, I don't. It's like, okay, that's fair enough. Here, watch an advert. And I've been shown a method where you can stop adverts on these games. It's just if you put your phone in airplane mode, then it can't get the adverts. It's like, cool, I'll do that. But then there are the games that find a way round it. So when you do it, they're like, oh, we need a connection to get the information to be able for the game to work. What they mean is, we need to be able to show you adverts. So, yeah, we're either showing you adverts or you ain't playing. So there's that, and I've been trying to ramp up the amount of podcast listening I've been doing. So what's been good is I've been able to listen to podcasts while I've been running, podcasts while I've been working out, and even get a podcast on in the background while I'm working. It's really helped because I'm just cranking out work at the moment, and the silence gets to me. It makes me go a bit weird. So I need something. I don't need a distraction. I need just a little bit of noise. So a podcast does the job. So I've been listening to, at the moment, I've been listening to a lot of Two Bears, One Cave. Jesus. That is also... Podcasts are really bad for it. Because they are quote unquote free. And because they are quote unquote free, you have to pay for them. And what I mean by that is, you have to get bombarded with adverts. That's how it keeps, that's how it keeps them free. That's how it keeps it free. So, speaking of Two Bears, listening to Two Bears, a lot of Two Bears, it really is my favourite. My favourite used to be Hollywood Babylon, but due to the virus, Hollywood Babylon changed to caped commentaries, and I battled through those, and it was really tough going. Hollywood Babylon used to be great. Used to be is the operative word, and I do hope it one day gets back to its former glory. But Two Bears, One Cave is Cookie's number one podcast. I'm having this thing. I don't know whether you'd call it like an oh wait, no, that's a word I can't say. Existential? No, maybe that's it. Crisis. Of the podcast nature. So I listen to a lot of podcasts. I also make a lot of podcasts with myself and my collection, my crew, my podcasting crew. We make a lot of content. There was a point in time where there was a podcast service that would tell you how often the podcast in question releases. If you looked up CookieCast, the time frame of release said on average releases a podcast daily. We've come through a sort of off season, so no NFL, no football. Wrestling's once every 6 weeks. So basically, you've got the Darkest Timeline once a week, wrestling once every 6 weeks, a beer podcast once a month, and that's kind of it. Saying that, there's this today, and then there's 3 other podcasts to do this week, and in another 2 weeks' time, we'll be adding back in the NFL podcast. So, as the summer, starts to take its leave, the podcasts ramp up. But I'm thinking a lot recently is like the idea behind starting a podcast and the podcast that I wanted to do. For a long time, I've sort of had this burning desire to do a particular type of podcast. And this podcast, The Darkest Timeline, scratches a percentage of my podcasting itch. But I've always had this urge to do a particular type of podcast. And I always thought that myself, and another person who shall, for this, for the sake of this, remain nameless. I always thought that me and that person were going to basically go about doing that podcast. And that never came to fruition because how do I work? I'm too much of a pussy to actually say what I want to say and that side of things. And the other person, who shall remain nameless, sits in the camp of not wanting to reveal a load of personal information out there into the world at large, which you have to respect. But more and more recently, I keep coming back to this idea, this podcast idea that I've had for a long time, and this burning desire that I have now to get this podcast out into the world. And I don't know how to go about doing it. So, as is not the first time this has happened, I'm at a bit of a podcast crossroads. I don't know where to go from here. The Darkest Timeline will continue whilst ever I've got enough stuff to put on, I was going to say on paper, but I just write on my phone. The football podcast will continue whilst ever Paul wants to do it. The wrestling podcast will continue whilst ever Stu wants to do it. The beer podcast will continue whilst ever Matt wants to do it. The NFL podcast, in theory, will continue whilst ever myself, Paul, and anybody else who wants to guest on the podcast wants to do it. But there is that podcast lurking in the darkness, and it would be very much a podcast after dark kind of podcast. And then ultimately all it is like a podcast talking about like wild times of days gone by, drink, drugs and partying and all of that sort of stuff. And I think that there's a part of me that wants to do that because I think it's maybe like some kind of midlife crisis. Maybe there's a part of me that's like, all of that stuff has gone, has disappeared. It's not like we're out partying, week in, week out now. It's all, I don't know, changing nappies and reading stories and watching Disney movies and that, walking the dog and, all of that sort of stuff. And that's all fine, that's okay. I love those things. But it's like there's that part of me, that side of me, that time that's going to die if I don't do something about it, if I don't create some kind of legacy for it. So yeah, at a bit of a crossroads. So, got some films this week, got some TV, and a game, which I'm not really going to talk about. So, one of the trips out that I took with the girls was we went to the cinema. To my knowledge, for two of my daughters, this was their first trip to the cinema. Now then, that statement is not true. Both of them have been to the cinema. However, the youngest used to go to the cinema on a weekly basis. Leanne used to go to the cinema, to a baby club thing where you take your baby, you go to the cinema. Job done. The youngest has been a few times. The middle daughter has been to the cinema. However, the time that she went, she spent 3/4 of the movie laid on my chest in a sling, asleep, because she was a baby. So they've been to the cinema, but not to go and sit and watch a movie. So at the moment, you can go to View, and you can watch. I think it's any movie, any day, any time, for £5. The other thing is that the View that we've got has been refurbished and kitted out. It's got all the leather recliners that recline at a touch of a button, so that's fun. So the first week of the summer holidays, I made sure that we all sat down and watched The Croods, a film that's very dear to my heart because me and my eldest used to watch it a little bit when she was little, and it's just something that I felt that it was like a film for me and her, because the two main characters are the dad and the daughter. There's an entire family, but those were the two main characters. Oh, and Ryan Reynolds, obviously. So I made sure we watched the first Croods, which everybody loved, because I knew secretly that if everybody enjoyed the Croods, we could go to the cinema to watch the Croods 2. So that was that. So it was a big deal, because for two of them it was their first proper trip to the cinema, and we spent days preparing them. So it was, if you were to go to the cinema, you would sit still, sit quiet, no talking, and watch the film. If need be, you can come sit on Daddy's knee, but the main things are sit still, be quiet, no talking. And like 2 or 3 times throughout the week, it's like, oh, if there was a point where you went to the cinema, these are the things you do. So, got geared up, made individual bags of popcorn for people. I ain't paying cinema prices for popcorn. No way. No way, no how. I honestly do not understand how they expect people to pay those prices. Those prices are insanity. Just astronomical prices. I think it's like £4-5 or something for a bag of sweets that you can get from the supermarket for £1. So I just did some like little bags of popcorn, and off we went to the cinema. So it was a very special time, and I'd said to them, "Oh, you'll know when the film's going to start because the lights will go down and it'll be dark, but it won't be fully dark. There will be light. It'll just be darker." Boy, was I wrong. It was dark. It was really dark in there. It was really dark. So I was like, right, we need to sit in the right place. We had all 4 seats. We only needed 3, but hey ho. So I got the middle daughter sat on one side. The idea was that the youngest would sit the other side and the eldest would sit the other side of her, because the concern is obviously my eldest can sit through a movie. She's been to the cinema a few times. Needs less is the short version. The other 2, they don't know how it works, so they need assistance. So the youngest cried when I've tried to put her in the seat, and I'm pressing the buttons going, look, it goes back and all this. Absolutely no. It was just no. So okay, you come and sit on my knee then. Which she did, and then that is where she stayed for the entire film. The middle daughter sat in her seat, watched the film. At one point, she turned to me, she's like, "Ooh, Daddy, that scared me." But wasn't like in the middle of a quiet bit. It was perfectly fine. And other than that, didn't say a peep. So it was one of those situations where I was super, super proud of my little family unit. My eldest was like, at one point she was like, "Can I move seats?" Because what it ended up with was she was just sat out on her own on one seat, and the rest of us were all like, in 2 seats, and there was a seat between us. I was like, yeah, you move and sit here. And then I handed out the popcorn sort of halfway through. It was very much a good time. So we saw The Croods 2. It was fine. I think any time there's a sequel to a film that's quite established, and what I mean by that is, for me, it's quite established. I know the first one quite well. It holds a special place in my heart. When you try and do a sequel to something like that, you're already up against it. But it was very enjoyable. I really enjoyed it. I think, and this is nothing taken away from the film, I think I enjoyed the experience more because of how proud I was and how I came out of that experience. Like, these kids are freaking great. Because I envisaged, like, my youngest running up and down the aisles, climbing over seats and stuff. I mean, she just sat on my knee and watched the film. And even things like, that's the longest she's just sat and watched a film. So it was a great experience all in all. Film was really good, really enjoyable. Is it better than the first? I can't tell you. I think I need to watch it again, because I think I was a bit like on high alert rather than sitting and really taking the film in. There was some very entertaining aspects, where things like using a window as if it's like a TV, that was very entertaining. yeah, it was a good film. I need to watch it again. I imagine we'll end up buying it when it comes out. So that was The Croods 2 and our first trip to the cinema for some people. Me and my eldest have worked through some films. We watched Superman 3 and Superman 4, A Quest for Peace. It's a really tricky thing. Once you've seen Superman 1 and once you've seen Superman 2, whichever version you watch of Superman 2, they really take a downturn. You've got the whole Superman 3 where everybody was really pissed off about the whole Superman 2 situation. Certain people didn't want to do it. Certain people aren't really in it. Margot Kidder's in... I read a thing that says that she's in 12 minutes in the film. Not the version I watched. She was in 2 scenes. I know that there was a big deal with the fact that they got Richard Pryor. I think, from what I remember, they got him at like the height of his career. And he's probably the main character in Superman 3. And that's saying something because, you know, it's a Superman film. For all that's wrong with Superman 3, it does actually have one of my favourite things from a Superman film, which is the fight between Superman and Clark Kent. I've always enjoyed it. I always thought it was done really well. I thought it was a really interesting way to do something. It's just a very enjoyable experience for me personally. So we watched it. My eldest, I think she really enjoyed it. And I think that's largely to do with the fact that it's funny. So I think that added to it for her. Unfortunately, that did mean we had to watch Superman 4, which... I mean, it's just awful, isn't it? It's pretty awful. I don't think I actually ended up seeing a lot of it. I think I had an other child situation to deal with, so I think I missed chunks of it, which unfortunately I do feel fortunate that I didn't have to sit through all of it. It's just not good. So we still had a couple of evenings left. We'd worked through the remaining original Superman films, so we switched over to watching some animated movies. We started watching a Teen Titans animated movie. What was strange was when I put it in, it started on the end credits. So, well, this in theory means that somebody's watched this. 20 minutes in, it was revealed that, my eldest had seen it already. So I was like, well, I don't think we should just sit here and watch the rest of this if you've already seen it. You know, you've got so much stuff to watch that you haven't seen. Let's find something else. So we ended on Green Lantern First Flight. Basically, it's Hal Jordan's origin story done in animated form. It's a film I've seen a lot, but I haven't seen it for a long time. So I was quite happy to sit down and watch that. That's a really good film. I seem to remember at the time it was quite a big thing because it had quite a hefty voice cast. Like Michael Madsen does a voice in it. I meant to look it up because I don't think it's like a major... Ooh, What We Do in the Shadows official trailer, season 3. Yes. Flipping. Please. Right. Green Lantern, the animated series? No. Emerald Knights? No. I'm going to search for the whole thing. Lantern. There it is. First Flight. Yeah. Yeah, it has got a fairly hefty cast. Yeah. So Christopher Meloni, who was in... What the hell was that programme called? The first series was really good and the second series it was awful. But he was also in Oz. Victor Gerber, been a lot of stuff. Michael Madsen. Kurtwood Smith. Pretty sure he was in RoboCop. Was the bad guy? He was. He was Clarence in RoboCop. Larry Drake. Pretty sure he was in Darkman. Yes, he was. Anybody else jumping out here? No, not really. But yeah, really good film. I was really enjoying it. And my eldest enjoyed it. Great voice cast. It reminded me of a time when like DC animated films were just kind of getting off the ground. It's definitely one of the first few that came out. You could tell there's a lot of time and effort gone into it. Fortunately, they're also exploring the CG side of things, which I don't really care how it's done. It's never really done very well, which is a shame when you're dealing with animation, because it could so easily be animated. But thoroughly enjoyable experience. I binge watched Gotham Garage Season 3. In fact, do you know something? When I saw this the other day, it's not even called that. I've written that down and I realised that it isn't called that. So, it's Car Masters, is it? Home. Popular. Trending. Because you watched. You can never find stuff when you want to. A lovely glass of water. It's not Masters of the Universe, I know that much. Where's the watch it again section? Because you are trending now. Continue watching? Because I've finished it, so it won't be in there. I'm pretty sure it's called Car Masters Rust to Riches. Still struggling to find it. Anyway, like I say, it's series 3. Follows the people from, like I said before, Gotham Garage. And at the end of the it's right up my street. It's one of these car programs where they take an old car, modify it, turn it into something funky. I've watched the first 2 series, and these are my kind of shows. So I watched it. As is always the way, some good, some bad. The reality TV show side of things never really works for me. It's like, you built a car, did you? You know everything about it. But you just so happen to forget or not think about this aspect, and that's why the car's broken. Interesting. I mean, it almost feels like it's been done on purpose, because I knew it was going to do that. You know, it's that kind of thing. It's like, get rid of that and just get on with it. Then there was this whole thing about this, we're going to build a concept car. It's like, ooh, interesting. We're going to build a concept car from scratch. Okay, I'm liking the sound of this. We've got these designs. Okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do the other. Sounds fantastic. So in my head, I'm like, you're going to build a concept car, so you're going to build like the frame, the chassis, all of the parts for like the wheels, the discs for the brakes. You're going to build the wheels, you're going to get the tyres made. You're then going to move on to like custom made interior, custom made seats, steering wheel, all of that. Then you've got the body, you're going to make the body, fabricate the body. So what in actual fact they meant was they were going to take a Corvette, take the body off it, then design a body that was then just going to be made out of fiberglass, drop the fiberglass body on the Corvette chassis with the Corvette engine, cut the doors, cut the windows, and paint it. And I was just like, this isn't making a concept car. This is like a, let's lick and stick some bits on a Corvette. They didn't change the engine. They didn't change any of that sort of stuff. The body was fiberglass. So it was just moulded. It was like, when I heard we're going to make a concept car, I'm like, this is building a car from the ground up. What they meant was, we're going to design a body of a car and stick it on another car. Then the main guy, Mark, I think he is, then starts like, I think we should make a motorbike to go with it. So then they went through this whole thing about getting a motorbike to stick a body on. That's what they did. And what they made this motorbike look like was awful. It was just horrible. Almost every single aspect of it was awful. The only thing that I liked about it was they put a big swing arm on the back and put a giant back wheel and back tyre on it. That was it. Other than that, the rest was awful. Then he decides these two vehicles together are worth $250,000 minimum. They wanted to do an auction. The program itself seemed to do pretty well through all of the virus stuff, but then they wanted to go to auction and all the auctions got shut down by the virus. So they couldn't. So then they did an online auction with some key players, some heavy hitters, who none of them came even close to $250,000. And that was the end of that. So there you go. Like I say, they did very well, but you could see that they were being kind of hit by the virus in various ways. And ultimately, you can't do certain things. So I kind of understand that side of it. But massive anticlimax. Other than that, the rest of it was really good. Like I said, I binged it in I think I binged it in a day. Whilst attempting to recover from a back injury. So that was that. I have been dipping in and out of Scrubs. I think it's series 6, but it is officially a chore now. So it's very much I put it on when I've got nothing else to watch. I have had a film recommended to me, which I think I'm going to go and watch after I've finished doing this. So fingers crossed I'll already have a film for next week. Finally, 2 things about games. One, the only game I've been playing is Grand Theft Auto 5. Very little to talk about. The only thing I will say is a couple of things. One, I found that game a lot harder than what I remember it to be. I think I spoke last time about how they seem to have put in, like, if you're driving down the road and you have a head-on collision, you die, as like a feature of the game. And it's annoying as hell. So there's that. But yeah, there's like missions that you just fail left, right and centre for stuff. It's like, I don't remember this being a thing. The other thing is, I saw that Grand Theft Auto 5 is still in the so it's still in the top 20 games. And if I'm honest, I think it might actually be the top game. I saw this thing about why Cyberpunk 2077 isn't in the top 20 games on the PlayStation Store, and I'm almost sure the number 1 game was Grand Theft Auto 5. It's something that I needed to play. Like I've spoken about it being like the comfort food version of computer games. I'm not gonna lie, I've not enjoyed it as much this time as I have enjoyed it previously. I don't know if that's to do with the age of it. I've found a couple of issues, like controls wise, a couple of quirks in the game that didn't really stand out as much previously. And I am at a point now where I'm a little bit like, I kind of just want to get through it and get it finished, while simultaneously knowing that there is nothing for me to play. And that's the other thing I was going to come on to say. There are no games. I know this is not new and it's not news. I was talking about this the other day, and I was saying the last new game I bought was, well, there was Resident Evil 8 and Outriders. I can't remember when Resident Evil 8 came out. I think that's the more recent of the games. But Outriders was the beginning of March. I have never known a time like this. And there is no end in sight. It's not like we're sitting waiting on a shit ton of games. There's nothing coming in the future. I mean, you know, in the long term, I'm sure there is, but in the near to mid distant future, nothing. I honestly do wonder what the hell's going to happen to the games market. Mostly because I wonder what's going to happen to me when it comes to stuff like the games market. Will I still be playing games in 6 months' time? I honestly don't know. Something I completely forgot to mention is I lost a filling the other night. So I'm going to... I got a right week of it this week. I got puppy at the vet's in the morning, dentist Wednesday, getting stabbed in the arm on Saturday maybe. Yeah, right old week. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, I mean that's it. Let's not drag it out, shall we? Let's just end it there. I'll catch you people, you lovely people, next week. So there you go. What do you think of that? Another one done. Another one over. If you're watching us on YouTube, big thanks. Do subscribe though. It's the right thing to do. If you're listening along, that's fine. Big thanks to you as well. Whether it's iTunes, SoundCloud, or wherever you get your podcasts, you can also subscribe, like, share, and comment because it's a big help. Check us out at thecookiecast.com. Grab a social media link, tag us, drop us an email, whatever you want. It's a two-way street. We'll talk to you if you talk to us. So that's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye!